Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that comes out in the New York Post, October 18th, 2019. Pedophilia is rampant in the US, and the notorious face of pedophilia is turning out to be the white female. If we don't see her in teaching jobs, ravishing a bunch of children, then we see her in other professions like this one, being a nanny and ravishing a child. And not only did she do this to an 11-year-old, she actually got pregnant by him and had his baby. This is sick. And these women are usually very unattractive, like this one. And I guess men aren't not looking at them, so they turn to children. But I really believe they learn all of this pedophilia in the home that they're raised in because we see it way too often. And a lot of times when you see something repeatedly, it's taught behavior. They more than likely had sex as children. And that's why they continue this cycle on into their adulthood and start going after children themselves. Ex nanny gets 20 years in prison for sexually abusing boy, giving birth to his child. That is disgusting. That's disgusting. Marissa Mowry, 28, she was sentenced this past Wednesday, 5 years after sexually assaulting a now 17-year-old repeatedly over several months, and she gave birth to his son in October 2014, according to the Tampa Bay Times report. Mowry, who continued having sex with the boy until he told his mother 3 years later, she must serve 10 years of probation and register as a sexual predator, a judge ruled. You see how misleading this article is? When you go to the beginning, it says that she was sentenced 20 years in prison, right? And then when you go down later into the article, the judge rules that she must serve 10 years probation and register as a sexual predator, a judge ruled. So, what they're trying to do is mislead you into believing that she's going to be sitting behind bars for 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, and she's not. We don't have to guess the race of the person that wrote this article, right? Okay, so let's move on. The boy told his mom about the sexual abuse in 2017, leading her to contact the police. A DNA test later confirmed the boy was the father of Mowry's child. Mowry was hired by a family early 2014 after a recommendation by a relative and ultimately moved in with them. So she was a live-in nanny to this boy. The boy's mother, Nadine Campbell, said she considered Mowry to be her daughter at one point. Wow. While she was in there raping your son, that is your daughter, huh? Go to show you, they think they know each other and really don't. But Campbell blasted the former nanny. Okay, so she's all upset about this woman having a child and ruining her son's life. We're talking about a child that was 11, Campbell told the paper, not even a teenager, 11. Yeah, but this went on right under your nose in your house. You see how these people conveniently ignore things, because they assume the person is the same as they are. Oh, I can trust this person. I've seen these people get burned so many times with that kind of attitude, and I think it's hilarious. You get what you deserve. Campbell's son now cares for the 5-year-old himself. His mother said taking the toddler to school before starting his own day of classes, but being a father has limited his social and dating life, Campbell said. who wants to date a 17-year-old who has a 5-year-old, she asks. It has not ruined his life, but it has changed his life. But he has turned into one of the most amazing dads, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Mowry, for her part, declined to speak during her sentencing. She pled guilty to multiple counts of sexual battery on a victim under the age of 12 in September. But Campbell warned other parents not to assume that women won't victimize children. Oh, and America is rampant. Just look at all the female teachers, white female teachers that are doing this, particularly those entrusted to protect them. We don't think about females being predators usually, Campbell told the station, and I didn't, and it cost me. Well, you should have been more careful about who you brought around your children. I sure would not have brought Mowry anywhere near my child. I don't want women like her near my son. But this is what happens in America. This is a very rampant thing in this country. And the reason why it goes on the way that it does is because people like Marissa Mowry go to court and get a slap on the wrist. She got, as you saw in the article, 10 years probation, and she goes on a sex predator list. And this was ruled by the judge. This is what she got. That's not a punishment, y'all. That's not a punishment. That's why these women continue to do this, because they don't go to jail. Many of these female teachers that are having sex with students, they don't go to jail for that. Very few of them go to jail. And if they do have to serve time, it is such a small amount of time, it's not even funny. So why should they stop doing it? 10 years probation and going on a sex predator list? So what? How often do people check those lists? So she can easily slip under the radar and do this stuff again. Everybody's not checking those sex predator lists all the time. So who she can get away with doing it again. But see, in this country, people like her are not punished. They're not. They are not punished. The punishment never fits the crime. But I promise you, if this was a black female or a black male and did the same thing to an 11-year-old, you would be put in jail for life. They would be giving you 40 years. But in this country, this is what white privilege can give you. 10 years probation and going on a sex predator list for raping an 11-year-old multiple times. And she pled guilty. She pled guilty. And we see this cycle happen over and over and over. And now that we're in the school year, you're going to see the multiple faces of white females coming out in the news doing this to children that they should be in the classroom teaching. But we know education is not going on in these schools. Indoctrination is going on in schools across America. This is why the education should always be rejected. Those schools are filled with white female teachers to get the message across about white supremacy in America. And we have yet to reject their message. If we can get to stage one, then we can rid ourselves of the Marissa Mowrys coming around our children. So I guess as long as they have access to children, these stories will continue on. This is America, the land of the high IQ. Please leave your comment and subscribe, and don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.